All right, let's dive right in. We're going to break down a framework that might just completely flip how you think about money. We're talking about the 7 unspoken laws that really run the show.
Okay, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right with your money? You're saving, you're investing, you're working your tail off, but when you look at the scoreboard, it's just not moving? It's that frustrating feeling of being stuck, right? Even though you're following all the so-called rules.
Well, here's the big idea that changes everything. What if money doesn't actually follow rules? What if it follows laws? Yeah, think about it like gravity. You don't follow the rules of gravity, you operate within its laws. Getting this shift in mindset, that's the absolute first step. And that right there leads us to what we can call the money paradox. So, if the old rules don't work, what does? We need a new system, a new playbook for navigating these laws, one that shows us how wealth is really built. And this new system really boils down to 3 key things. First, you've got momentum. That's all about compounding your money, letting it grow. Then there's structure, which is about who's in control of the money and the final outcome. And last but not least, asymmetry. This is the cool one. It's about managing risk and reward so your potential wins are just massive. Okay, let's get into the first law. This one is foundational. It really gets to the heart of the difference between just making money and building real, lasting wealth.
So check this out. It's a tale of 2 different things, really. Money loves speed. It loves when you see a shot and you take it, fast. But wealth? That's a different game. Wealth loves time. It's about making one great decision and then just letting it ride for years, even decades, letting that compounding magic happen. I mean, look at Warren Buffett, right? That's his entire playbook. Buy something great and let time do all the hard work. And this story just nails the point home. Imagine 2 friends in real estate. One is a flipper. He's all about speed, right? In 5 years, he flips 100 homes, makes some decent cash. But the other friend, he's a holder. He just buys one house, then a small building, then a 20-unit complex. 5 years go by, and guess what? The holder's net worth is 5 times higher than the flipper's. He played the long game. He used time. Okay, so wealth is built over time. Got it. But the big question then is, who's actually winning in this game? That brings us to our next 2 laws, and these are all about power, control, and making your moves bigger. Now, law number 2 is so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. He who gives the money has the power. Think about that. In any deal, the person putting up the cash is the one calling the shots. This is exactly why buyers and builders, the folks actually deploying the capital, have this massive, almost unfair advantage. And if you don't believe me, just look at this. It's a breakdown of the Forbes 400, and it is wild. 85%, 85, are buyers and builders. Think Bezos, Musk, Buffett. Only 15% got there by selling one big business. But the most shocking part? The number of people who made it just from a salary, from earned income? It's 0. A flat 0%. I mean, that stat tells you the whole story, doesn't it? So how do these buyers and builders do it? Well, they're not just using their own cash. Nope. They're using maybe the most misunderstood tool in all of finance: leverage. And law number 3 is simple. Leverage multiplies everything. Now, that can mean losses, for sure, but the wealthy, they know exactly how to use it to make their wins explode. Let's make this super simple. Say you buy $1 million house, all cash. The value goes up 10%, great. Your return on your money is 10%. Pretty straightforward, not bad at all. But what if you use leverage? Same exact house, same at 10% appreciation. But this time, you only put down $200,000 and get a loan for the rest. That same $100,000 gain, it's now a 50% return on the cash you actually put in. See? That's leverage working its magic, multiplying your outcome. Now, of course, to use a powerful tool like leverage, you need a solid foundation. And you need to be smart about risk. Which, hey, leads us perfectly into our next 2 laws, which are all about that. Okay, so law number 4 is about knowing the difference between 2 critical things. You've got cash flow. That's what pays your bills right now, today. It keeps the lights on, funds your lifestyle, keeps you in the game. But then you have equity, and that's your ticket to freedom tomorrow. That's your ownership stake, your piece of the long-term pie. And this McDonald's example is just perfect. We all think they're a burger company, right? Selling fries and shakes. But that's just the cash flow machine. Their real wealth, their empire, is built on equity. It comes from franchise royalties and, get this, their absolutely gigantic real estate portfolio. The burgers pay the bills, but the real estate? That's what builds the empire. This leads us to Law 5, and this is where we start playing a totally different game. It's about finding what's called asymmetric risk. It's a situation where your potential reward isn't just a little bigger than your risk. It's like 10, 50, even 100 times bigger. Your potential loss is capped, but your potential gain is basically unlimited.
Venture capitalists, they are the absolute masters of this. Just look at a typical portfolio. They'll put, say, 100 grand into 5 different companies. Okay, 2 of them totally flame out. Gone. 1 just breaks even. But then, 1 gives them a 10x return, and the last one hits a 100x return. Those 2 huge wins don't just pay for all the losers. They create mind-blowing profits for the whole fund. That, right there, is asymmetry at work. But look, chasing those huge home runs can be super risky if you're not smart about it. You gotta have survival strategies. And that's what our final 2 laws are all about. How to stay in the game long enough to actually win. And law number 6 is a massive warning sign. Don't bet the empire for a pot of gold. There's the story of a guy who saved up over $700,000, his entire life savings. He put all of it into one single deal that he thought was a sure thing, and it went to zero. He lost everything. 15 years of work just gone. The lesson there wasn't that the deal was bad, it was that his bet size was insane. You never, ever risk the whole farm. Which brings us perfectly to the final law, Law 7. You know how we're always told diversify, diversify, diversify? Well, the wealthy often do the exact opposite, and you have to ask, why? Because diversification is really just a protection against not knowing what you're doing. Look at it this way. If you have control and you understand the risk, like with your own business, you concentrate, you go all in. But if you don't have control and you don't really understand the risk, that's when you diversify. That's when you spread your bets. So there you have it, all 7 laws. But, knowing them is one thing. The real magic happens when you put them all together into a system that helps you make way better decisions. So here's the practical part, your new toolkit. Before you make any investment, just run it through these 5 simple questions. Can this thing actually compound over the long haul? Who's in control here, me or someone else? What's the worst case scenario? Is my downside protected? Is the potential upside way, way bigger than the downside? And finally, be honest. Do I really, truly get what I'm getting into? This little checklist right here, this is how you turn these laws into action. So, that's it. Those are the unspoken laws of money. And we're going to end with a question for you. Now that you know the laws, now that you've seen the playbook, how are you going to play the game differently?